Hello, I am Carolyn Jamerson, the Collections Manager and Mount Maker for the FIDM Museum, and I'm here today to give you another little sneak peek into our museum storage and the different processes that we use to preserve our objects. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about ethafoam mounts. There's multiple different forms of mounts, and a lot of them are really cool, and I love them. Ethafoam mounts tend to be my favorite. They could be applied to a lot of different methods and systems, and very versatile in their effect. So the one that we're going to be talking to today is about shoe mounts. And so shoe mounts are very small, so I can fit them into this frame here. They tend to be very important. It means the difference between a collapsing shoe and a happy shoe. So there's some mounts that, particularly like stuffed batting, that can expand over time. Or a shoe can not have support, or can have a very kind of minimal support, and it can be collapsing in on itself, and that can really damage the structure of the shoe itself. So it is very helpful for a shoe to have a shoe support that is not stretching the object, but also not causing the shoe to collapse in on itself, and is creating that very beautiful balance between the two. So here we have an example of the shoe mount. And so I'm going to be going through all the different steps in which we do to get the shoe mount to this stage. So the objects that I'm going to be showing you today are from our sporting fashion exhibition that will be traveling here shortly. So it is definitely my main concern as we're moving forward. So as I am being productive with my time and also creating videos, you guys get to be the benefactors of not only seeing behind the scenes of the storage, but also behind the scenes of the outdoor exhibition. So here is a pair of ice skating shoes. Also, the mounts I'm going to be showing you are mounts that are going to be going into the beautiful Keds. But the main I'm going to start with is these ice skating shoes. And I recommend coming to the exhibition and seeing these. There's another element that's going to be paired with these ice skating shoes that are absolutely fabulous. And they'll be in a case. And I'm going to have you come and see them to know what those are. So that's a little teaser, a little dangling of the carrot to have you come to the exhibition. So these are ice skating shoes, and you can definitely see there's no mount, no support whatsoever, and it's really collapsing in on itself. And this can cause strain, cracks in the leather over time, and is overall just not a happy shoe. So to create a happy shoe with the shoe support, and beautiful for exhibition, is an example of the shoe with a shoe support. It has a nice structure. It looks like there's a foot in there, a dainty foot, because we don't want to overexpand the shoe, but it's giving a beautiful silhouette. And you can really see the contrast of the before and after of just from a floppy to a standing. And some of the 1800s slippers are beautiful examples of the before and after, and you see them before and you're just like, oh, they're so unhappy, and you see them afterwards and they have to practically singing, and it's a joy to work on those because the before and after is so rewarding. So this is an example of before and after, and you can just see the difference of why shoe mounts are actually so needed for shoes. So we start with patterns. I create outline silhouettes of basically the sole of the shoe. And then you see along the bottom, possibly in the screen, but I have little chicken scratch numbers, and these are just notes to myself to know the height. From that, I cut it out of ethafoam. I tend to like a 4-inch ethafoam archival block is my go-to for a lot of this mount making and a lot of different other things I use. I tend to like 4-inch. There's 2-inch, there's 4-inch, I think there's 1-inch are the ones I've seen. I like 4 inches. It's just my preference. Shoes tend to be about 4 inches. And if not, those ice skating shoes I showed you, the tallest height on that was 8 inches, so simply stacking in 2. Slippers from the 1800s tend to be about 2 inches. And the Keds that I showed you were exactly 4 inches. So 4 inches is my beautiful number that I like working with. And then from there, we carve it into a beautiful silhouette shape that, as I said, supports the shoe. And that is our objective, is to beautifully support the shoe. So here you can see where I glued across to slight bridge. And at this stage, it's very rough. You can almost hear it as I'm rubbing my hands across it. It does have a rough surface. It is smooth in the sense of there is no distinctly rough edges, but overall the ethafoam tends to be a rougher material. So the process we're going to use after this is to make it smooth. And so the next step is to apply needle punch batting, cotton needle punch batting, and that is this stuff here. Is an archival material, and it has actually a lot of give and stretch to it. So we're able to stretch it over the shape, 3D nature shape of a shoe foot, and creating as many little seams as possible. If there is on the side here, there's one seam, there's back here, there's the vamp, and then there's the side back. And getting it as flush and as tight to the surface as possible is the main objective goal to this. From there, you're attaching Tieback. This is washed, soft Tieback, and the Tieback is stretched over, and then I fold it under, and then I pin it in place, and then it is hand stitched after that. I usually go over with my thumb over the stitch marks. It helps smooth it out, not creating a rough edge because of the stitches. And here we have a very nice, very smooth surface that easily slides into a shoe. One of the things that I really like about the ethafoam is you can pin into it. So if you're creating a larger object, it does almost act like a pin cushion in many different ways. So if you need to be able to pin something in place, it's very helpful for that. Also, it's slightly bendable. So for the shoes, when you're sliding these into the shoe, you can bend the mount itself and not the shoe, which is ideal because you're not causing strain on the shoe, but you're causing strain on the mount, which is an object that you can recreate if need be. So our objective is to correct strain on this and not the shoe. But overall, it has a little bit of, you can give in, but it's not going to stretch. And I think that's a beautiful mixture for a shoe mount. So at the end of the day, after you put it inside, you lace it up and you have a beautiful shoe mount. So the mounts, I told you there's multiple different variations. So you can blow this up to different sizes. I've been able to create glove mounts with this process, but I've also been able to create full body mounts. So here, let me adjust the camera. We have our Fred Astaire. This was a mount that we created for one of our objects that was a tuxedo worn by Fred Astaire. So yes, this is the body of Fred Astaire, which I find slightly fascinating. And it is the same process. It is layers of ethafoam that we have carved to his body structure and is creating a mindset of thinking of the body in a 3D form. And so you have just the same process of the inner ethafoam that has been carved to shape, then batting put on top of that. There is sometimes for like women, the chest needs to be kind of that softer, more malleable, and so we'll create that out of batting more so than we will the Tieback, because it needs to have that softness that a woman has. And so sometimes you'll see the batting being more the structure of the chest, but in general this is just covered with a layer of batting and then a layer of Tieback. These arms have been created with wire on the inside, so they are adjustable to the whatever pose we need within reason. And then the top has been covered with show fabric, and that is up to the curatorial objective, whether they want something that matches the walls or matches the shoes, and that is something I would go to your curator on. Now for a little thing to add, you can see there's a slight bit of more definition to his back. Fred Astaire was not. I find it very fascinating that his suits were created with a little bit more ease in his back, so that he have the range of movement while he's dancing. And I find that a fascinating little tidbit about Fred Astaire's suit is that the tailors did give him that ease of movement. For exhibition purposes, though, we do need to still support the object. So it is supporting the suit in the back in a way that doesn't make him look like he has a hunchback. So there was quite a bit of effort that went into structuring his back so that it supported the object without giving a false illusion of what he looks like. In general, here's Fred Astaire, and this is just a blown up version of the same process that is the shoe. So as I say, it's a kind of very transitional and being applied to multiple different techniques. So that is what I have for you today. Please feel free to send me any questions that you have, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.